Go ahead and call this meeting of the Grange Public Library Board of Trustees to order. We have a roll call, please.
It is 7:02.
Yes, thank you.
Katie?
Here.
Lisa?
Here.
Chantel? Here. Bethany absent. Jessica?
Here.
Jennifer absent. Oh, Vicky absent.
And excuse me, we have Peter here tonight. Welcome, as always. And any public comment done? None received. Okay, great. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I motion we approve the consent agenda. I second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Katie?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
Chantel?
Aye.
Jessica?
Aye.
Motion passed.
Welcome. Hi. Hello. Okay. So we have a pretty light agenda this evening, so hopefully we'll get through it quickly. But our first item is the Intergovernmental Agreement with School District 102. Jen.
So I put a memo into, don't look if you get seasick, motion sick, sorry. I had put a memo in with the IGA for District 102. So some of this stuff is, you'll already know. Oh, sweet. Well, this is going. So this actually came to our attention around this time last year when we realized that the IGA with District 102 had not been re-examined since 2016, which is very uncommon. Like at Phillip Park, for example, we look at our IGA every year. Some libraries do every other year. So for it to go almost 10 years was interesting. So that was one of our main motivators to addressing it. But the second motivator was because we noticed the only schools that were providing library cards for the teachers in District 102 were LaGrange and LaGrange Park. Linda Sokol, Francis Brookfield, who does have a school actually in Brookfield, was giving teacher cards just kind of on their own. So we realized it was kind of a big old mess. So Brookfield reached out to us and they said, hey, next time you look at your IGA, can you involve us in it? Because it's great. Then the teachers can go to get their teacher card in the community where they teach. Now, they can use their cards anywhere, right? But it's more convenient for them to go to the one, you don't have to drive all the way to LaGrange from LaGrange Park, for example, to get your card. So, and I should ask, and I'm talking about an IGA like people have experienced these before. Have people not experienced an IGA before? So an IGA stands for Intergovernmental Agreement, and it's between two governing bodies. So for us, it's the school board and, well, at least two, right? Because we're at 4, between governing bodies to align. Sometimes it's to provide a service. Sometimes it's to provide information. In the library world, like we couldn't just decide as a library director, hey, we're going to provide free cards to everybody that works at the Park District, because the Park District has a separate elected governing body. We would have to have an intergovernmental agreement with the two because there is a governing body, right? So with the intergovernmental agreement, what we did was staff came together, all of the libraries, and we assessed the current agreement. And there were a few things that we found. Number one, the language, because it hadn't been updated since 2016, did not reflect current consortium practices. So they used to not call them teacher cards. Swan used to call them something different. So to be correct, we would want to update that language. Again, not including Brookfield in Linda Sokol, Francis Brookfield, because they really want you to use the whole name, in the agreement was probably an oversight. I don't know how it happened in 2016. We tried to suss out why that was, and there wasn't really any information. Many of us did not work here in 2016 to know the answer for that. But essentially what the agreement says, and you did have the chance to look over it, is that the public libraries will provide cards for in-classroom usage to a list of teachers and certified staff that the school provides to us. And the school then takes responsibility for those cards. So back in the day, if there were late fines, they would take responsibility for the late fines, or if there are late fees, they would take responsibility for the late fees. However, that was some language we had to update as well because we're fine free. We don't have fines anymore. But the school does take responsibility for lost materials. And then in return for the library providing the cards, the school provides the library with the opportunity to share important community information, to promote our events, and to be partners and co-sponsors on different things together. So it's a win-win, probably something you wouldn't necessarily have to write down in our community, but some communities you do have to kind of codify that. So we have a great board, we have a great school board in all of our organizations. So the agreement, it's nice for what we have now, but we want to make sure that that continues going forward. And then should the board, you'll all be able to ask questions obviously, should the board decide that they want to go ahead and ratify this updated the other thing we did is we put that we would review it again, that we're not going to let it go for another 10 years. I believe we're going to assess it again every 5 years. So bring it close together. And it can be brought up again at any time if something changes. The change would take a little bit of time to take effect because we are currently in the middle of a school year. So we didn't want to disrupt any of our educators' opportunities to use materials for their classroom. So it would not take place until A, all parties have signed it, but also B, it would begin with the next school year, June 1st. So tonight, there's nothing, we would ask that the board approves the Intergovernmental Agreement with District 102, the Grange Park Public Library District, and Linda Sokol Francis Brookfield Public Library. And then it would go before the school board this month, and then we would all sign it virtually because DocuSign is a thing. And yeah.
I just had one question. I just didn't understand specifically how it would impact us because it seems like it would be, I'm guessing, for like Congress Park and Brookfield, really.
Mm-hmm. So the changes that we're bringing them in to the agreement, we had actually been providing the majority of the teacher cards for all of that time.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so it's bringing them in, but then it's also making sure that we are getting that promotional access as well. So it doesn't change much for us in the way we were doing things, and you know that our access services manager is the most detail-oriented person on the face of the planet, so we were calling everything the right name the whole time, but it just gets everybody on the same page.
Okay.
I'm just curious how often is this used? Because I know, the schools here have such good libraries themselves. So
yeah, so
used?
I want to say when we did the last round of teacher cards, and I wish Rebecca was here to give you this exact number, but she's on a cruise, so we can be mad at her for different reasons. I believe we do because we did all of the cards, right?
Yeah.
We did about 70 teacher cards.
Okay.
So the school submits it. The teachers get the card, whether or not they use it remains to be seen.
Yeah, I was just wondering how much usage actually.
Yeah. So I think it gets a little bit of usage, but we definitely have teachers who will ask us to pull specific materials for them. Or we put together last year an outreach menu, which I think enticed more teachers to invite us to their classroom so that we can provide different things. So I do anticipate the usage increasing over time.
Okay.
Jen, my question is about the lost and damaged materials. What is the process for payment for those things? I was glad to see it's the school district's responsibility to cover those items, but how does that actually happen? Are you billing them?
So it is up to each library to decide how they will handle that. I think that's one of the caveats that's in the section. We, for example, look at it on a case-by-case basis. So if we have one teacher who's lost one thing one time, we might forgive it. However, if you're losing 10 books every year, there would be a bill assessment through SWAN to the card, and then it goes to the address on file, which is the school's address. So then the school would become responsible for paying it. We also allow for replacement of materials here, which I don't believe happens at Grange Park or Brookfield. So for us, and not many libraries still do that anymore, but we allow a patron, instead of paying, let's say that it's a 10-year-old book and the cost was $15 at the time, we don't depreciate. So it's whatever that catalog value is. If you can find me a usable copy of the book on Amazon for $7, we get the material back, right? Because we want the material more than the money. So, but not all libraries allow that, but we do. So that's why we made sure that it stayed with each library could follow their own policies. Okay. That's a good question.
Any other questions? Do we have a motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement with School District 102?
A motion to approve the intergovernmental agreement between the library and District 102.
I'll second that. Any discussion? Further questions? Okay. Roll call.
Katie,
Aye.
Lisa,
Aye.
Chantel,
Aye.
Jessica,
Aye.
Jennifer,
Aye.
motion passed.
Okay. My little bookmark tab is, was that coming up previously? I apologize. So per capita grants. Okay, so I did a presentation for this one. Right. So for those of you who have been Go away. Nobody wants you. We'll present it to you, so we don't want to do that. We'll go the old school way down here. Okay, so for those of you who have been on the library board for more than a year, you probably know what the per capita grant is. We've mentioned it a little bit during our budget discussions this year, but I thought it would be a good idea to give a brief overview of what the per capita grant is, and then give a little bit of context about how it has changed, because it was updated in 2025, so it's very different. So the per capita grant comes from the state of Illinois to public libraries, and the intention of it is to help public libraries progress toward meeting its supplemental assistance, so it's not a huge amount of money, but it's significantly usable, to help them in their progress to meet the public library standards. Now, the public library standards have been put together for many years by the Illinois Library Association, and a group of Illinois Library Association member libraries send representatives, and they reassess it every 5 years or so. So the last time it was done was 2020, and now they redid it and released it for 2025. Your per capita amount is roughly $1.47.75, $1.40, let's just say $1.48 per person, based on your current service area population, which is gotten from current U.S. Census data, which also, lo and behold, happened in 2020, right? Our current census population is 16,321 people. So if you are budget savvy, or remember the budget, you know that if you do that number times 1.475, you get our award amount, which is $24,073.05. We've gotten that same amount the whole time I've been here. I did want to point out to you that there is current legislative agenda, the current legislative agenda for ILA. They're asking them to increase the per capita grant amount by 20%. So that would earn us roughly another $4,000 to $5,000, which we're never going to turn down. So we'll take it. Who knows if it'll happen, but they're asking. So the per capita grant can be used on any of the standards except these two things: staff salaries or benefits. So the other thing you can't use it for is to build a whole new building, but if you can build a building for $24,000, more power to you. it does require compliance with the latest anti-book banning laws in Illinois, which we know just passed in 2022 to 2023. So prior to that, if you submitted the application and you met the standards, bada bing, you got the money. However, they tied this per capita funding to compliance because what they found was that it was a way to sort of ensure that public library boards were advocating properly for public libraries. So remains to be seen, good thing, bad thing. We don't have to worry about it because we have a supportive board. So let me tell you a little bit about the Illinois Public Library Standards. So again, it's a guide designed for public libraries by public libraries, updated every 5 years. There are 12 sections this year for staff to evaluate our level of achievement. It is the core level, intermediate level, and advanced level. And all of the sections have a tie to the per capita grant application. So each year I go through and I fill out a 17-page application, again, to get $24,000. When they changed it this year, they made this level evaluation action plan sheet thing that is 30 pages that I went through and I evaluated us on all of that stuff. And note to managers in the room, it'll become a team activity next year. So that was a major change. But essentially, for those of you that were on the board in past years, you know, the old form, they would give us like this big list and it would say, did you do all of these things? Yes. So they wanted to make it into that action plan format so that it wasn't read the form and then check the box, right? The staff is checking the box and then presenting about the form instead because trustees were like, we hear about this throughout the year. Why are you making me do this extra thing? So that's why we're presenting it this way. Let me show you our 12 areas of assessment. So these are very similar to the other form. There's a few small changes. So access, advocacy, and community engagement, building and grounds, collection management, finance and budget, governance and administration. Human resources is a new topic that had not been an Illinois Public Library standard recently. So that was something that the group decided to add in as a standard. Information services is now, they used to pull separately adult information services and then youth and young adult information services. Now it's all in one group. Marketing and promotion, programming, safety and emergency preparedness, and technology. So I thought I would say, well, how did we do? Overall, we did very, very well. So I wanted to point out these were our growth areas that we mentioned on our application for 2025. So one of the, just a couple that I pulled out here, we improved upon the library director evaluation. You all worked very hard to do that in 2025, so thank you. We completed our facility improvement plan. We enhanced our staff training around safety by bringing in different presenters and reforming our person in charge committee. We enhanced our readers advisory training, which has been a year-long thing, and I think my staff has done such a good job. I'm going to nominate them for an award, so fingers crossed on that. Developed outreach and program guidelines as part of our programming standard, and then we aligned program guidelines to support local Illinois State Board of Education and school district initiatives. I think you all saw the presentation on that for youth and young adult services. And then finally, in technology, we've been working on our website accessibility standards, which have been, we have a deadline to do that by 2027, but we wanted to be ahead of the curve. It's really important to us to be accessible to all standards of the ADA. So here were some noted areas for growth for 2026. And these are, again, suggestions that I think are attainable for us. We met core on all of the standards. We met actually advanced on most of the standards as well, but I tried to pick one or two things from each area. So you'll see these come up in either staff SMART goals, or they will come up in our strategic plan goals for our next fiscal years. Because some of this stuff we could do pretty easily, but some of it's going to take a little more time and budget. So working on providing signage in multiple languages that are spoken in our community for advocacy and community engagement. Again, include local, state, and federal elected officials on our mailing list. I think that's a great idea, and I don't believe we do it already. Peter and I talked about for building and grounds, creating a physical inventory of furniture, fixtures, and non-IT equipment. We have it for our IT stuff, but as we're getting new furniture in the building and rotating out older pieces, it would make sense to start with a great list to know, did we buy that in 25 or 27 or whatever? Collection management, we would like to work on some digitization and preservation so that we could provide broader access. You may or may not know, but we have the entire archive of the Grange doings on microfiche. However, we do not have a microfilm reader that works consistently. You can read some of it with your cell phone. So, but digitization is extremely expensive. We looked in the past at doing it and we were quoted upwards of $40,000. So we're working, there's some grants available. We're working on that kind of stuff. So, but our public services department is pretty passionate about that one. And we could get rid of the clunky machine that doesn't work and have a usable space. For finance and budget, seek non-traditional resources for funding, more donations, endowments, etc. That's a natural fit for our foundation and our friends group to continue to look into, so that would work. Governance, I don't know that you all have seen our succession plan. Each of my managers and I, we all have a succession plan, so if one of us should leave or be in an infirm state where we could not be reached, we have, our plan was actually, it's listed on their website as the gold standard for other libraries to follow. Thank you very much, Rebecca. So bring your details, people, to the light, right? So that would be something in the next year we could go ahead and review with all of you, just in case you had any interest. And then this is the last slide here. So under human resources, and this is something we're working on, but continue to work on ensuring that library staff represent community demographics, focusing on cultural and linguistic diversity. That's something we always want to see happen. Under information services, enhancing staff expertise and service to specialized populations, so people with dementia, adults and children with intellectual or developmental disabilities, etc. That's a spot where we do good work, but we could always do better. For marketing and public relations, identifying underserved population and use targeted marketing, methods to conduct outreach to those communities. So we do this a little bit, but we're addressing this year in our strategic plan or our strategic goals, how we can reach some of those newcomers right when they join us in the community. For programming, designing programs for patrons with specific needs, e.g. with autism, dementia, low vision. So those are some of the ones that we could, we don't have programming specifically for those groups, but how could we invite them into the library in some way? For safety and preparedness, I thought this was very smart, having a separate emergency and safety procedure manual for the public. So we have one for staff, but we don't have anything for the public. So like some libraries will have a quick flip chart of like, hey, there's a tornado. What do I do when you go to the tornado tab? And there it is. So I thought that could be an easy development for our safety committee. Sorry, Joanne. And who's in charge of the safety committee?
Do you mean something the public would use or something that
we could hang somewhere for the public?
Okay, gotcha.
So like there would be one in here, for example, or in the study rooms. So
like if you were here and there was a, got it.
Exactly.
The fire alarm went off.
Yeah.
Like, where do you go?
Yes, if you're at home, you're on your own.
Yeah.
And then for technology, I loved this idea of providing more adaptive equipment for in-house use. So a large print keyboard, a physically accessible trackball mouse. So those were just some of the suggestions that were given. And that's it. Per capita.
That's great. Thank you.
Any questions?
I did have a question. So this is so you and your staff did this and you rated the library on these 12 pieces.
Yes.
I'd be really interested to see how you just to get a sense of how the self rating was on core and was core advanced and
Here, luckily I have it up. Let me show you. So this is the 30-page document that they provided. Buildings and grounds happens to be the one that I have up here. So as we went through, not only did we mention let's look at let's look at number 3. So With number 3, I went through and I highlighted in yellow all the areas that I thought we could make some improvements upon. So we do core, right? So none of those will be yellow, but for intermediate, we don't do the middle one, but we do advanced. We have an appraisal with a professional. It's part of our insurance. I'm not sure why they would put that there. I would probably flip those two, but I was not on the committee.
Yeah.
So
the core, intermediate, advanced, that's like handed to you.
Yes.
Got it. And then you give yourself the red.
Exactly. So the red were my answers for everything.
And that's what you're submitting to them?
No, this
Or
is for
that's just a
us self-assess. Let me show you. So there are some things that they suggest, for example, that we would not do here at our location. So, okay. So here's one. Let me close this back out so it's a little taller. So under information services, one of the things, and again, some of them they don't have an advanced option. That's choose your own adventure.
Right.
But so for us, they say core, you should make sure all your service is available during the time that you're open.
Yeah.
And then intermediate, if the library provides additional information services, so like if you're doing notary appointments, providing passports, license plate stickers, etc., make sure that an adequate number of trained staff are available. So like for us, we achieve core, but we would not offer any of those intermediate options. We frankly don't have the space in the building to do it, or there are area agencies that do it at low to no cost, so you don't want to compete with them. So some things like that did pop up, but I have shared, now that I've completed this, I will be sharing it with managers, and again, they're going to see this stuff come up like, hey, here's our suggestions. But yes, this is what that cohort of Illinois Public Library people puts together. They spend 5 years developing it. So, and it's kind of nice because what they'll do, and I don't know if anybody was at ILA the last couple of years, but since 2020, they'll host like either programs at the Library Association conference, or they'll host like information tables where people can walk up and just like give their feedback and stuff too. So they're not just talking to directors, it's actually anybody who's a library worker can share things that they think are important. So it's kind of a cool, amalgamation of all the information and opinions and stuff. Have you guys started this at your library, Katie?
Not yet.
So,
How did you like this process compared to the previous?
like, I found a couple of things like that where I'm like, oh, I wouldn't put that there. I would put it somewhere else. So I did find a few of those, but I like having the action plan too, because then this is something when we go to plan our strategic activities for next year, I can say, here we go. Or once the leadership team looks at these, we might be able to say, oh, have we ever thought about doing notary or passport? And if they can make a case, maybe we can do it. Again, I'm open to ideas. But I tried to make sure that I put comments in here as well, because again, this is for our usage, and I'll keep it with our per capita grant application every year now going forward. But really, there was just that list of sheets before, and that was it. And it was not interactive in any way. So I put an idea here for 2027, which is super future Jones problem.
Cool, thank you.
Well, that was that.
Yeah.
So that application is due January 31st of every year. So.
And the funds are typically received.
So this year we didn't receive that. 2025 we did not receive them until July.
Cool.
But we normally receive them in March, right? So that's fun. All the funding delays. So it would be nice if we got it.
And do you have a plan for those funds?
Yeah, so we have been talking about what we would like to use them for, and I think we'll have, we're going to be using our funds from 2025, so that's the year that just passed is 2025. We're using that to buy new CD and video game storage. remember we had those long shelving units upstairs, and the shelves don't stay closed anymore, and we can't make shims to stay them closed anymore. So we have chosen to use it for furniture, and we've used it the previous 2 years for furniture as well. So I'm guessing it might go towards furniture, but if something else comes up. Generally, when you put it in, you can use it for any of the 12 standards except for salary and benefits, but like you could hire a consultant with it, for example. So like I know some libraries who have hired like their strategic planning consultant that costs, upwards of $10,000 to $15,000. So they've used it to do their strategic planning. So we'll probably have to do another strategic plan in 2027. I don't think we'll get to one this year, but next fiscal. So that might be a good use if the funds exist for their next fiscal year too.
We'll see.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Fingers crossed. Well, furniture and spaces is a good segue to our next item, which is an Engberg Anderson update. And I guess a quick preface, Jen has been working with Engberg Anderson to coordinate, a series of workshops, I think we're calling them, to start the process of planning for this space. And we put together a special committee, and I've asked Lisa and Jess to be on it to represent the board, and then Jen has selected staff from all departments to provide perspective as well. I thought that the two of you would be a great mix of like experienced and new, and I think that will round out your committee nicely. And you had your first meeting?
Yes.
So Lisa, hopefully you can give an update.
I can. So we did a, kind of like a planning, thinking, gathering information. What do we want? What are we looking for in the renovation of the former quiet room on the second floor is what I'll call it. And it was really great to see everybody's different perspectives of what the staff needs are and what they see happening in that space during the day and during different times of days and different types of people who use that space. And so based on that, I think Engberg Anderson was really there to gather information from us. They kind of a needs analysis, and they provided us with 3 options of what we could do in that space. And we reviewed them, and we talked about the pros and cons and what was working and what we thought would be the best use of our money and serve the public the best. So they gave us 3 options. And at the end of the meeting, we came to a consensus of a second option. And Jen, are we going to talk specifically about those, or?
So we won't until the next meeting. If you saw on that project tracker, we meet again on January 28th for the next workshop. So then, because what else happened is the last time that they were in the building and developed our plan was February of 2025. And we have made significant changes since 2025. So the last part of the meeting was Peter and Kim walking around with them to show them all the changes we made. So like pulling the whole teen collection out into the regular area and having furniture in the teen space. We weeded a bunch. We're changing the DVD we changed the DVD location, and just with all the changes. So they were kind of like, we took a look around and you can look at these plans, but we're going to have to make more plans. Okay. Because we had told them we would continue doing small projects where we could, but I guess maybe our projects were more ambitious than they thought we would be. So,
but I think the core of what they presented to us were it's not like we had to go back to the drawing board or anything like that. I think there were some tweaks that we could make and new information we could give them, but I didn't feel it was like significant.
No, it's still within the plan that you all saw. Now you're at that ideating stage, right? It's like, do you want to make the room 3 times bigger? Do you want to have it this size? So it's still the same general layout that's already been approved. It's just the few different, like some of the different furniture organizations, or do you want to have a collection in there, for example, that would require millwork, like some of those kind of things. And that was what they were really trying to suss out at that meeting. So we'll see a little bit more now that they've also had a chance to kind of walk around again upstairs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was a good meeting. Everyone was very involved and excited and sharing from their role on staff, what they see in the different perspectives. So I found it very interesting, just as a library user and as a board member, to see all the work that's going on behind the scenes that we don't get, everything that goes into what gets funneled down to here in the meetings was really nice. So looking forward to the next meeting. And then we'll have a bigger update in February, you said.
Yeah, Engberg Anderson is planning to come to our board meetings in February, March, and April. So you'll actually get to talk to you that, which is great.
Yeah.
The people that we picked to be on the committee from the staff side were 2 people from public services, 2 people from access services, and we picked people whose collections would be affected by any wall changes and stuff like that. I think that's important. We also had somebody who is kind of the guru upstairs for spatial awareness and spatial reasoning, who can look at it and say okay, yeah, that's going to be 8 bays of shelving. That's Cassie, that's their brainchild, So yeah, I think, and my goal from a transparency angle is to make sure that, and I've shared with staff, I'm going to pick different staff for each project and each time we do something so that everybody has a turn to be involved. But also I wanted to make sure that you all know that Peter, after each workshop, is going to be in charge of sharing out information about, so here's a quick recap of what happened. And it's basically been what you said. And then for the board, we do have, and some of you again may have recognized, I'm sorry, I should just use the good old project tracker. So instead of burying it in the director's report, this will become a running occurrence that you see in the board packets. So there's no past point of interest because we just started, but things that are new will move up to past, and then the couple of new things that happened. So again, Peter and I had an initial meeting in December of 2025 with them, and then January 2026, the committee met, and then the previous board liked me to put in here whatever current expenditures. If that's something you want me to continue, I'm happy to do it. If you're happy to see it in the bill listing, I'm happy to do that too. So if you want it to just be the narrative stuff, that's fine. Or if you want to leave that in there, we can do it.
This is really helpful. And not to be too difficult, but what would be even more helpful is if, could we add, so 2 things. Could you add, so I see what's happening in the next couple of months, but what's the deadline for this? What are we marching towards, and are we on track time wise, or behind? And then same thing kind of with I know this is in the budget, but it would just be really helpful to just have this is budget, this is what we've spent so far, this is what's left, and red, yellow, green.
So what we have right now is just a tentative general idea.
Yeah.
So what we're
and that could up if it's just for round numbers,
yes,
$100,000, right? And then you pick what you're going to do, and now the budget is reset at 80. Well, it'll just help us that are not in these meetings to see at a glance, and even a red, yellow, green traffic light,
Yeah. And
I know red is bad, so put a green dot in front of me and I'm good,
A couple of good things that you'll see too. So all of you will be going through this project because it is over $25,000. We'll have to go to bid. So you'll be able to
Yeah.
see a lot of that once we have the bid outline. So that is definitely going to be more laid out and more forthcoming. Right now, this is all that's sort of planned until I think we might get something at the January 28th meeting now that they went back upstairs and were like, let me look at what you moved around and what furniture you moved. So there might be something as early as February.
Great.
So I don't think we'll have to wait too long to get that. But, the anticipated completion of this project is December of 26.
Cool.
So we're, we've been a little delayed with this project simply because of the funding issues, and then we were looking at some other options about what we were going to actually start with. So, but now that we're here, they think that we'll be able to kind of move at a good clip.
Good.
So, I haven't been through the bid process on this side before, so I'm really excited to kind of see that myself. Peter has done it, and were you all in the bid process? I know Chantal wasn't elected yet
No.
For the pickup.
for the last project, so
Yeah, no.
we'll all be going through it together. But yeah, I think that would be fine, because again, these are, so put together.
And I have templates too, if you want.
I would actually like that. Would you? Yeah. I can always listen. Don't reinvent the wheel.
Steel. I have no other. Because you'll spend 75% of the time trying to
Formatting?
Yes.
That was me earlier this month with our good old tax updates, which I'll let Katie get to that when we get to that. But so that's the update.
Great.
Any other questions about this project?
Nope, I was going to mention the budget thing, so I'm on board with that.
Cool.
Sounds like we have more to learn next month.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right.
It's the little, it feels a little chaotic because you don't know what they're gonna say yet. Because it was literally like, here's all the options.
Yeah.
And now it's like, holy Christmas.
Yeah.
What? Okay, but we'll be all right.
Cool. That's exciting.
All right. Finance committee.
So I guess the big news is that the village board finally
Yeah.
Yay, no
Our budget.
arguments.
So we're good for 26-27. They approved the 2.9% levy that we had originally requested before they were that far, and so we're aligned. So that's the good news.
Good.
Yeah.
Have we heard? Have they hired a finance director yet? I haven't heard.
I saw you guys on the video though.
Did you? We were in the front row and they were like, when can we leave?
Were you in the long one?
No, it was
Okay.
the one before.
Okay.
Yeah, that was.
Like duck and roll.
Actually, that was interesting. It's more interesting than I thought, but like.
Yeah, and we just did that at our house in Villa
Yeah,
Park
we did
over the
it
summer.
too. So it was like.
So I was like, oh, I remember this.
Yeah.
Friends of the library.
Yeah. So I am late in announcing this, but the last time we had talked about the foundation was going to have a stop-in informational thing, and that got canceled and pushed to the end of April. So sorry if you guys were chomping at the bit for that, but so April 25th is the new pencil in date. We'll have more information and I'll have more time to update you on that as that gets going. But the rationale for that is just things were a little like too theoretical for January. And so Becky and the Friends of the Library Committee are going to meet a little bit more to make things more specific and actionable so people can really understand what's happening in April. And that was all I had.
So Bethany's not here this evening for Rails ILA. Anything significant to report?
The only thing that has happened is that yesterday the administration challenged the ruling that IMLS needs to continue to be funded. That was put forth in November, but that only happened yesterday, so I have no further information on that at this time. But yeah, that's on the advocacy radar.
Policies.
No update since our last meeting in November. Yeah, nothing going on just yet.
Okay.
More to come.
Okay. Sounds good. And then village.
Nope. I mean, they announced the approval, which is the big news from the village. Otherwise, there's other drama going on, but luckily none of it involves the library.
Yeah.
So you can watch the videos if you really want to get into it.
Jen. Alright, so I thought that there might be a little bit better use of time than going through my executive director's report because there's many things happening going on that I thought you might want to talk about instead. So I could just ask, was there anything from the executive director's report you wanted me to speak to specifically? We had a good December.
There's lots of good things.
It was nice.
It was nice.
Doing
And
the
now it's
Secret
over.
Santa distribution thing with Rotary and at the Park District was just a dream. It was so wonderful, and it's sad that it has to happen, but the fact that there are people that make it happen is really beautiful, so I can tell you that. I thought maybe we could take a few minutes and we could talk about a little update regarding good old tax funding. So I'm sure you have all paid your bills, so you're updated on that side. You may have seen a week or two ago, there was an article in I believe it was the Trib, about how the lack of tax distribution funding was affecting local taxing districts or bodies like ours. Following that, Maria Pappas's office made a little bit of movement on doing some distributions. What they did, however, was they specifically set it to district taxing bodies and their sub-agencies. So if you are a school district, if you are a park district, if you are a library district, you have gotten some money. We are none of those things. We are a village library. So we have not yet received any tax funding from our last year. And it made me go back and look at when do we get our money? Because I think that it's an interesting phenomenon that many people probably don't know. So I pulled from our taxing agency extranet, which is, they send us a little email every Friday that says, you have a distribution. Now, we have not had a distribution since October 31st when it was a refund of $500, but whatever. We gave money back to them. But I thought it might help too when we're thinking about budgeting, that to really kind of show that there is no consistency with which money comes into your public library. These are downloaded of the distributions. This is 1/1/2023, and it's really to 12/31/2023. I thought it would be interesting to show, some months you're getting $500,000. Other weeks you're getting $474. So this is the downloaded amount. And then what I did is I went quarterly. That's what the colors, this is your monthly column. So the totals that we made each month. Sorry, I might have made it too big. And then finally I went for like a quarterly distribution in this last column. So as you can tell, we usually get a big amount in quarter one. And then our other big one is in quarter four. It varies, and I'll show you 2024 as well. It varies between 2 and 3 when we get that bigger bump, and it's for a couple of reasons. So you're getting tax distributions from as far back as 2019, 2018. Some of those things, like from railroads and water districts and that kind of stuff, come in that way. There are some things that are also, people are still disputing their taxes from 5 years ago or 6 years ago, depending on how much they're working with that taxing board. So again, it's not like we can say, oh yeah, every March and every whatever, we get a big old chunk. It doesn't work that way. You can see here too, when I'm talking about like open item tax collections, real estate, railroad collections, etc. So I mean, it's really a variety of things that we're getting those little pieces from.
Is it interest earned from like late payments?
I'm not 100% sure if it's that. It very well might be. Or there may be something in the tax code that allows us to get some interest on undistributed funds, because we only get it once or twice a year, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's not all the time, or 3 times a year, it looks like. So it might be like quarterly. But you can see, so for 2023, this is what we were actually given. This is what we levied. So you can see, we got more money than we're actually asking for, but it's because, again, those distributions come from super far back that maybe they asked for in the past. So you don't always get the money the same year you ask for it. And I thought about that when we were talking about our levy this year, because there was like, wait a minute, but we asked for this much, but we got that much. So like, we know we took in less in 2025 than we levied for, but it will come
Eventually.
in future years, right?
Potentially.
Hopefully. We also had a bond payment at this time, which is why it was a huge difference. The rest of the time you'll see it's maybe 10,000 or less different, but our bond is paid off now. Let me show you 2024. So here's 2024. And again, we got a big old payment Q1. This year it was in Q2. This was pretty close, right? Yeah. We were paid out this much, but we levied this much. So that discrepancy is a $4,000 difference, right? Let's take a look at what we've gotten for 2025. That's it.
Oh.
So the last, when I say significant payment that we got, was April of 2025. And even when you talk about significant, usually we're looking at $500,000 of significant, and our last significant amount was maybe $90,000. Our payroll each pay period is about $56,000, and that's between salary and benefits. So we're spending about $100,000 a month on salary and benefits alone. So when you put it into that bigger perspective, we really haven't had a big oomph of money that could even cover a payroll in quite some time. So you might say, well, what did you do about this, Jen? So I've been in contact with our local Cook County Commissioner, who is Sean Morrison for the library here. I sent him a long email asking for his advocacy. I'm not complaining about the system. I understand why it happened, but I need to know what you're going to do about it. I also need to know why some libraries were given funding and some weren't. So myself and other people in Cook County, other directors making these advocacy requests, there has been a little bit of movement from Maria Pappas's office. She said that, and shared this tentative distribution schedule with us, that there is an expectation that from starting today, the 20th, all the way through February 7th, that they have put aside about $3.8 billion dollars in anticipated distributions to the remaining taxing bodies. So we did not get any money today. Maybe we'll get some tomorrow. You never know.
Do you think that correlates with the late tax bills paid as well then? Yeah.
So what they're using, I think, is what they've taken in, because essentially there's probably like a quarter or 3 month turnaround between when they get it, they get out of any kind of dispute, and then when it's available for disbursement. So that's what I'm thinking. It looks like we'll probably start seeing some in the coming weeks. What we're still owed, let me go back to my other sheet here. So we're still owed just over 1.1 million. I hope we'll get it. We have right now in our operating account just a little under, we have about 1.2 million. And that's, remember, aside from any investments. So our 1.5 investment is safe and is not counted in that total. It is there if we ever needed it, but I am very hopeful that the tax disbursements are going to start coming before we cannibalize that, because I also pointed out to Senator Morrison, what makes me upset is the interest income that we are not earning on that money.
Right,
we earn roughly $4,000 to $5,000 a month in interest income on that operating account. So times 12 months, that's at least $40,000 to $50,000, being very conservative, that we are not going to get back. And that's not something we'd be able to claim. So it kind of stinks. But at the same time, I'm glad that we have the capacity to have the funding that we do. And, some other libraries were sharing, like, they don't have funding after March. They have nothing.
That's what I was wondering. There's got to be some libraries who are not in our situation that
Yes.
can't sustain it on their own.
Yes, there's quite a few of them. And they did have that bridge loan program that they put out, that Cook County did. Some libraries were able to access that. Other libraries, like I know Oak Park, I read an article, went to their village and asked if the village could extend them a line of credit if they didn't get the funding. So again, we have not had to do that, knock on wood. And again, I know the money is going to come because it always has shown up.
But it's also like their obligation to all of these public places where I've paid my taxes for this particular purpose.
Right.
Jen, what would you suggest if we wanted to reach out to someone who would be, or what would be the most effective way to do that?
We had kind of talked about that. And the reason that they had told us to talk to some of the commissioners for Cook County was because the commissioners, more so than the representatives or the senators, have a direct line to Cook County Maria Pappas's office. And that's really been where I think the treasurer's office has been where the slip up happened with the poor service that they got from their, because it's all that they changed systems and the system didn't catch up, right? So, there's that, but also just the slow movement about it. A lot of the articles that have been written, again, have been really coming from the place of how this is affecting homeowners and residents as well. So I would definitely say your commissioners, if you have...
This is just strictly Cook County.
Strictly Cook County. I would say them. I would also say if you had any interest in reaching out to, the treasurer's office directly, you might just get a, standard reply. But again, any kind of advocacy and thought is always welcome. So, but Sean Morrison is the one that is in our area, because LaGrange Road is a dividing line. Half of it's Sean Morrison and then half of it's someone else, because it's really wide. Like Hillside has the same as us, and so does Orland. So I'm not 100% sure. But if you go to, your Find My Representative on the Cook County website, you can always take a look there as well. So, but yeah, it was rough when people were like, "Hey, has anybody gotten any tax money yet?" on the rector hotline, and there were a lot of people that were like, "Oh, I did," and we were like, "Wait a minute, district," and I'm like, "Really, a label? We're all providing the same services. We all have the same obligations, but because you only hit one label versus all the labels, But again, I'm glad the districts that got, I want schools to have it. I want park districts to have it. So, I have to have that grateful too.
It shouldn't be either or.
Very true.
Everyone some instead of some none.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Average it out at least.
A little bit, right? Would have been nice. So
this is very informative.
just like to give you, I was like, how do I put this into context? Because, and I'm glad you're saying it the right way too, as taxpayers, like to know what's happening to that money that's not coming this way.
Or like someone else making money on it because it's sitting in somebody's bank account.
Right.
And it's for multiple taxing bodies. It's not just us.
Right.
So that's the other part.
Yeah, who is getting the interest on that?
That's what I'm
They
saying.
should be forced to pay it.
They should be.
Well, maybe that's a good question to ask. Can we add it?
We write it down.
I am off tomorrow. I'm already writing a lot of emails. So
The list of like,
Dear sir,
call Comcast, write my commissioner.
Sounds fun.
Yeah, we're all fun. We finally got fiber though.
One other thing I thought I would update you all on is that beautiful fence outside.
Oh, right.
Oh,
I don't know if you happen to
I
know
was
what-
wondering about
Where's
that.
the fence?
It has
Take a
little,
look at
it's
it.
like propped up now, right?
So, back in, it was over
one
Thanksgiving
that
weekend, right, when I was
parking-
gone. So, back over Thanksgiving break, do you remember
Yeah.
when we had that really, really bad, when the bad snowstorm came through and like life was closed down a little bit. So between our fence, Peter, can you give me a west, east, whatever?
So that is the south side of our eastern lot. So around back by the book drop.
Yes.
Okay.
That was the first incident.
4 panels of that blew down
Oh, cool.
into the neighbor's yard, not into our parking lot. No cars were damaged or anything. The neighbors were out of town. Nothing happened. We called our insurance company to make a claim and say, hey, this happened. They came out, they gave us an estimate, and they said, hang on to it. You can't do anything until the weather's consistently over 50 degrees for concrete purposes. Okay. Talk to the neighbors. We've been in communication with them so they know, hey, we're working on it. It is our fence. It is our property. Sorry, this has happened. They're fine. They know we're working on it. Well, then with last week, with the squall, the snow squall that happened on Monday or Tuesday?
Monday, wasn't it?
Monday. We got a call. No, nobody came in and told us that it happened because Peter and Joanne and I, we were all in the building already and nothing, somebody called the code enforcement at the village, told them that the library's fence was out of code, so they came out and they looked at it and the fence was leaning over. Now,
As opposed to just walking into the library and saying, hey, you guys, your fence is messed up.
Yeah.
That's not the worst of it.
Some
It's
people
better.
have enough to do.
So,
Are they trying to get you fined or something? Like, I don't even understand.
maybe I should let Peter tell because this is when he takes over in the story. But so we get this email or this phone call, and I send it to Peter because he would know, he'd be the person to go out and talk with the code enforcement person. So Peter tries to reach out to him.
I reach out, don't hear back, give me a message. We call our insurance company again. They say they'll be out the next couple hours to like reinforce the fence. We come off the parking spots that are like where it's leaning and everything.
Okay.
And we get a message from Arcadia that someone has left a comment in our online comment form from the village of LaGrange because it captures the email. And so the code enforcement person has put in a comment suggestion form for the library that says, fix your fence.
Wait, the code enforcement?
Yes.
They're brutal about fences. Personal experience.
Village.
Wait, this is the village
But
person.
that's like their
As
way
opposed
to.
to talking
He
to
has
you.
not yet spoken to me in person
Or answered the
on
phone when
my
we had called him.
I love
He
it.
won't answer. I have called him multiple times. He called back the next day because I called him and said, our insurance company's coming. They're going to reinforce it. We have a disaster.
Yeah.
People coming to brace it and do everything. And then he called the next day. Still hadn't come to look at it. And he's like, can you let me know when that's going to be done and what's happening? I was like, it happened yesterday. Still haven't spoken to him in person, nor has he come down to the library. He is
I might have dealt with him. What's his name?
Kurt Trustner.
I think he came to our house this summer.
So we are in the same position, right? That you can't do anything until it's consistently. So we originally were looking at possibly just being able to replace the pieces of the fence. However, now it has affected 3/4 of it. It's likely that it will need to be replaced. So we are waiting to hear back from we asked the insurance company. We said, hey, now we've had another weather incident with this fence. So we're waiting on them to send us an updated quote. And as of today, I haven't heard anything. Have either of you yet?
Don't worry, it'll be 50 degrees in June.
Yeah.
At this
Right.
rate.
And
Or tomorrow. One of the two.
For a day.
this is the biggest kicker about it, is that we had somebody out in April to do fence repair, and they told us that it was in good shape. So it's legitimately recently been evaluated, and it is legitimately the weather that has caused these situations to happen. So, we'll have to address the fence. Obviously, I don't want it to get deprioritized, obviously, because if there's an insurance claim, you probably have to spend it within a certain amount of time, but it may be an expenditure that we may have to contribute some to depending on how that works. So we have to kind of see what they come back with. But in the event, I feel like it's a public thing, so neighbors might ask you about it. So if you please let them know that we have addressed it. Nobody has asked the staff. I mean, I think they've asked the staff, like, what happened to the fence? And
I just happened to see the all the things holding it up.
Propped up. Yeah.
So, and no, again, that was a professionally done job. That was not us just trying to fix it.
I thought I saw you on the computer.
So one over Thanksgiving, I was here on Black Friday sawing the fence in half so we could get out of the neighbor's driveway. That one was me.
Oh my God.
But then Lyra told him, hey, you should call us and we'll do that. And we're like, cool, we'll do it next time. Which we did. And then just the last thing about it is we have been in communication with the neighbor on that side as well. So we've addressed both of the neighbors. So again, we're keeping them informed to the best of our ability, and we'll continue to do that because they've been good neighbors. You know, we've tried to be good neighbors the whole time. So, but no
new fences out of it.
Yeah, like no cars were damaged, nobody was hurt. So it's just now a matter of
I'm gonna go on their comment section.
We were just like, we were shocked. We were in a meeting when all of us together, and we were like, what? Wait a minute, that guy? So, anyway, fence project.
Yeah.
Let me hold on to that grant money for a second.
Right. Honestly, that might be a good use. You never know. It's so, it's so tricky too, because when you're dealing with and Peter and I were talking about it, it's cheaper to do the fence that doesn't have any of that little decorativeness to it. But then, and when he said this phrase, it really stuck out in my mind. Well, do those people want to live next to a McDonald's?
Yeah.
Because that's essentially what it would be, an 8-foot tall fence that no light comes through, no anything. So to have something that matches with the outlay of our, we're the butt to the historical district. So having something that fits with the aesthetic expectations, and it's not going to be a huge cost savings one way or the other. But just, I was like, oh yeah, nobody wants to live next to the dumpster.
Do you have to bid stuff like that out as well, even if it's going through insurance?
To see. That's what we're waiting
blow
to
down
see.
just a little bit more, it'll be a little cheaper.
If we can get it under, because that's the question that we had too, is that do we have to bid out if it is, think about when you have an auto claim, right? They tell you, here's the authorized user that you can use.
Right.
So I don't know that, I'm thinking that we probably wouldn't, because it's something that's existing and it's being replaced. That's my feeling.
Well, and if
But
it's
we'll
not
find
all
out for
public
sure.
funds, if insurance is covering the cost, it's not.
Yeah. And if they're going to cover the majority of it and our contribution is less than $25,000, which I'm hoping it will be, we should be fine either way. But just so you know, we're working on it.
Jen, real quick, I forgot if you shared the news about Liz.
Oh, yeah. Our Liz, our social services coordinator, her last day was last week. She took a job working for the Corporation for Public Housing as their associate director of their Chicago office. So she will essentially be affecting public housing policy and things like that. She wasn't looking for a job. She was actually was a job coach and was helping somebody else looking for a job, and then she saw that one and she was like, oh gee, looks so good. But just due to rising healthcare costs, her husband owns his own business as well, so they're in flux. We will be reassessing the position to figure out what is the best use of that money and that time. Are there different ways we can bring in some different relationships potentially? And then some of the tasks that we had Liz doing have been redistributed a little bit to other staff members, again, that are relevant, that makes
She was
sense.
part-time, right?
Yes. So it's
And relatively new, right?
only a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That position was she was new, but that position was new too, right?
That iteration of it was a full-time position before that.
Got it. Okay.
They had collection development responsibilities and stuff, and that doesn't fit with our current vision. So, but I'm looking for some different ideas for that.
Okay.
Anything else?
And we have a position posted right now through Friday for a youth programming librarian, because Miss Patty is retiring officially April 3rd. So, yeah.
Do you have good applicants? Good number of applicants?
I think we have 25 already.
Awesome.
So
Oh, wow.
good. Yeah, it's a nice opportunity for somebody to come in because our adult programming librarian is also new. So we're really focusing on how those two people can work together to have that unified program vision, but also bring more family activities and more family civic activities together too. So fingers crossed.
Awesome.
Any trustee comments? I'll just note that it's time for Jen's annual evaluation. And I'll be sharing the evaluation tool that we developed and the timeline with you all. And then we'll also be asking Jen to complete a self-evaluation. So you guys can take a look at the tool and familiarize yourself with that. When Jen is ready, then I'll share that out to you. And then you can work on completing your part. I take all of those and synthesize them together into kind of our shared evaluation, and then we review that to make sure we're all on the same page. So look for that in the coming week or so. I'll get that out to you guys.
I just thought of something else.
Yes.
I submitted today another Cook County thing. For those of you who are returning trustees, the ethics filing. I submitted that today. For those of you who are newly elected trustees, the county requires you to submit as an elected official an ethics filing. That won't be due until May 1st, but if you see it in your library email, it's not spam, it's a real thing. And then I do have a guide on from the Illinois Municipal League about how to fill it out if you would like to see that, or I can share it at a later date. But yeah, that was... And they'll send you a couple reminders and notices, but all elected officials and then any management and administration have to fill it out. And if you're real lucky like me and you're elected in DuPage County, but you work in Cook County, you have to fill it out twice. So that's fun. Luckily, Rails is also in Cook County, so I do not have to fill it out 3 times. So
Well, I think there's a fine if you don't fill it out.
it is $15 per month if it's not filled out.
You know,
Yeah.
Yes.
that's an incentive there. So.
I did have a question on the email you sent out around the First Amendment audit. That was not something I was super aware of, and so number one, thank you for letting me go down that rabbit hole. But can you talk a little bit about, I was a little unnerved by the description of what happened, and so wanted to understand the training that the staff goes through, and if there are incremental touch bases now, just given the political environment, and if there's anything that we can do to support it.
So the big thing with First Amendment auditors, and I want to say they've been really coming into public spaces around, I don't know, how long have you been able to make money as a content creator? 10, 15 years? That's really how long it's been happening. The idea that's happening is that this person is coming in and exercising their First Amendment rights to be able to examine records and to do X, Y, and Z. It's often done to provoke a reaction, and because that's what people view are the reactions. So the training that we've done with staff is, it's something you train for kind of every year and you talk about every year. We have we shared a training most recently, since August, I think was the last time. We reshared the August training, we reshared which is a video, and then we reshared the slides from that video, and then also shared the description from the Township of Lyons. And essentially, what we tell people is remain calm.
Yeah.
Treat it as any other interaction. If there is specific some of it is very, very, I don't know if you watched any of them, but some of them are very, very hard to endure and not what you would expect at the public library. This person particularly coming in wearing a full ski mask can feel very intimidating, but at the same time, That's the reason that he wears it, or that it's worn, is for that. And essentially, when it happens in other libraries around us, we say like, hey, this person is coming around. The only time, knock on wood, that we've dealt with it here in the recent memory was there was somebody maybe 2 years ago that was live streaming, robocalling public libraries and conducting an over the phone First Amendment audit. So they did call here. We were on the phone with them for a little bit, but I mean, it was like constant calling, like jamming the phone lines and things like that. So and the phones are all ringing and you're trying to serve the patrons. But because of that kind of like hotline of, hey, this person is calling, just like in that letter, if you say to the person, oh, are you, Tom Smith from First Amendment 101? That was what got him to stop calling. Versus like, it's that idea too of like an abuse of the requested information, because you're more than allowed to request that information. We're happy to talk with you and show you these things. But it's really confrontational. So I'm not 100% sure if there's anything that the board specifically can do. I'm curious, one of the things that was mentioned in that letter from the township was that they had updated some of their policies about like, having full facial covering that was not for a religious reason or something like that.
That's what I was going to ask you. Because I would just, emotionally, I can only put myself into the librarian at the front desk's state of mind when something like that's happening. And if there's anything we can do to protect their safety and well-being while also respecting the public's First Amendment rights. I think there's some common sense that we could maybe, unfortunately, we have to be explicit about. We will have a conversation with you if you're not in full non-religious covering.
Well, and there's some stuff that we do already. Like if we have very clearly, if you notice, like anywhere that there are staff only or staff area only labels, it's because of that. Because specifically in these audit cases, it's come up that you cannot go into staff areas, and library workers specifically, I guess at the township, if there's any technology that would happen to show a patron's personal information, that cannot be filmed. So like you'll see that in our probably existing policy, our video policy. You can, however, record in the public library. So you can record a video, you can take pictures. Can you take pictures in the children's area? Can you record? You absolutely can, unless somebody specifically asks you not to. And that is, and a lawyer will tell you, you are in a public place, you do not have a reasonable expectation of privacy. The only place in a public space that you do is in a specifically labeled area, staff only, nursing room, something along those lines, a bathroom.
Even if it's someone else taking pictures of you? It's crazy. Especially underage. Like if you're...
And that's that's some of the stuff that comes up in the image or in the videos and stuff too, is that they're trying to catch the workers. If you ever notice that, they're trying to catch the workers and the employees. They'll go into like police stations and do this too, right? So like they're trying to catch them doing something incorrect, but if another like person intervenes or starts talking to them, they often will cut it off, because person to person isn't what they're looking for. They're looking at persecuting the organization. So, but we also have with some of the questions that they ask for about like any of the FOIA-able information, we have those printed and ready to go at all of our service desks as well. So people could say, if somebody's like, tell me how much you're spending on, LGBTQ books. Well, we could look that information up for you. We currently don't have it available, but you can FOIA that information, or here's how we can get it to you. So, but we do have a few printable packets, which is the basics.
And then you go, and actually we have a whole section. Let me show you. Because I think that's exactly what you're asking for, right?
I have a friend who...
You should see our third most downloaded audiobook.
I wanted to
really
make sure,
like that one.
I just wanted to make sure that I shared that with you all too, as you see, like, staff just, as I'm keeping them aware, I do think that it's something that the board should be aware of too, because again, anything that's happening in like the media, I never know what your neighbors are going to ask you about. So I try to like put that out there if you have the...
No, they just ask me when they see it on the taxes. What are you doing with that money? Well, let me tell you.
That's good. But that's the whole goal. Then you can't
I do.
explain.
Well,
it.
then I go, you know, you can do this and this and this. They're like, really? I'm like, yes. Get Chicago Tribune. Rent out the video camera. Rent out the stuff. Yeah.
It's true. But thank you for asking. The staff will be happy to hear that you all asked about that.
Anything else? All right. Then we will adjourn this meeting at 8:21 p.m.
Awesome.